Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. Today is Wednesday, April 6th, and late yesterday, April 5th, Princess put out some COVID health protocol updates to their sailings from the United States and Canada and to their sailings from Europe this year. So I'm going to bring you up to date on that, as well as some information about what is going on some cruise ships right now. I would like to welcome all of our Let's Go family members. I very much appreciate every one of you and everything that you bring to our Let's Go family. I'd like to also welcome everyone who is new. We're really happy to have you with us. If there's anyone here who hasn't subscribed yet, we would love it if you would subscribe to our channel, and I think that you will enjoy being part of this Let's Go family as well. Now, like I said, Princess has some COVID health protocol updates on their website. So, first of all, let's talk about the sailings from the United States and Canada. They basically have just added some clarification. There is no huge differences. And so everyone still is asked to be vaccinated. You need to have the second dose of your vaccine series done within at least 14 days before you sail. Everyone needs to have a negative COVID test aboard the ship, and everyone needs to show proof of that vaccine and proof of the negative COVID test as you embark on the ship. And so those things have not changed at all, but here, let me go ahead and let you know the things that have changed. First of all, here is a reminder to everyone that if you are going to be on a sailing departing from Vancouver, you have to be vaccinated. Anyone coming to Canada who is going to depart on a cruise ship has to be vaccinated. Canada is not allowing any exemptions to that rule right now. Hopefully, when we get a little bit further into the season, hopefully they will. Like I said, today is April 6th, and so I'm really hoping that people that can't be vaccinated for a valid reason can go ahead and cruise later in the season. But you know what? Honestly, I don't know. And so Princess is allowing some exemptions on their other cruises that don't depart from Canada, but the ones that are departing from Canada, they really don't have any flexibility with, because Canada is not allowing it. So keep that in mind. The other thing that you need to make sure that you know is that everyone who is on a cruise that is also going from Canada, it says documentation of a recovery from COVID-19 or blood antibody tests are not accepted in place of primary vaccination series. And so Canada is also not allowing that. You might recall that on some sailings in the United States, we have people have had the luxury who are recently recovered from COVID of showing that. But just know that if you aren't going to have a vaccine, you need to have an exemption. You can't just show that you have recently recovered. I also wanted to let everybody know here that really quickly, if you are going to be on a sailing, just to quickly review, because I still get so many questions about this. If you are in a sailing from the United States that does not include Canada on the itinerary, and you're fully vaccinated, you don't have your boosters, but you have been vaccinated, you can do your antigen test within 2 days and your PCR test within 3 days. If you're fully vaccinated and you have had any boosters that you are eligible for, you get 3 days for the antigen test and 3 days for the PCR test. If you are not vaccinated and you have been given an exemption, you have to do a PCR test within 3 days. So just remember that. Now, if you are on a voyage that is going to depart from Canada or that includes Canada on the itinerary, you have to have your antigen test within 1 day and your PCR test within 3 days. That is a firm rule, and that is one of the updates, I think, with this latest round of updates that they have said. They actually say if Canada is on the itinerary. And I really appreciate them saying that, because we were worried about what it meant for, like, if you're leaving from San Francisco or Los Angeles. Indeed, you do have to do that antigen test within 1 day or the PCR within 3 days. So let's see. They also say that for cruise tours that begin with a land tour, guests do not need to be tested prior to their land tour. We will facilitate and cover the cost of testing for these guests towards the ends of the land tour prior to their embarkation on the cruise ship. And so it says no testing is required for disembarkation in Vancouver. So that statement right there answers a lot of questions. So you don't need to be tested to go on a land tour. When you're getting done with the land tour and it's about time to go on the cruise tour, they're going to take care of you getting that testing. I love that. And then also now we know that there is no testing required when you're disembarking in Vancouver. So if you've already, clearly you have met the requirement to get on the ship with that 1-day antigen test, they're going to let you off in Vancouver. Now, when you're getting off in Vancouver and you're coming back to the United States on an airplane, you do need a COVID test within 1 day to be able to come back to the United States. Just heads up. Right now, the way the CDC guidelines read, if you are doing a land crossing or coming on a sea, arriving by sea, you do not have to have a COVID test to enter the United States. So be aware of that. So all of you disembarking in Vancouver and getting on the Princess Shuttle, you should not need another test unless the protocols change. So yeah. That just summed it right up. You don't need another test. You'll just be able to do the land crossing, get into Seattle, fly home, or travel home, however it is you're doing it, but you won't need an extra test for that. For cruise tours that end with a land tour, just be aware that guests do not have to be tested for a land tour from that as well. So you'll do the testing to get on the ship, and then you won't need another test. And so I hope that clears up a lot of questions. The other thing that is really important that they talk about in these updates here is that it says to voyages that include Canada. So you're going to have to do the regular health questionnaire that we are really used to doing. On Princess, you just do it in the app and answer those health questions within 24 hours of boarding. So for the sailings that embark from Canada or that include Canada, you are not only going to have to do the test that is the health questionnaire that is in the app, but it says within 72 hours of embarkation, the Canadian government requires guests to sign in to the ArrivalCAN from a computer or download the mobile app to enter proof of your vaccination and travel information. You will receive an ArrivalCAN receipt. Please bring a digital copy of the email or print your receipt to bring with you when you travel. And everything that we can find about this is that I've read through on this. I think you're going to have to do this, like if you're going to call in Victoria just as a stop on your cruise, I think that you're going to have to do this, and you're going to have to show that ArrivalCAN receipt. And so that's really important. Don't forget to do that because you don't want to get stuck on the ship. And I don't know if they haven't said if they're going to be checking for that at embarkation, asking you if you've got it. So I just want to let you know how all of that's working. They do remind everybody that masking is still recommended, but it is not required anywhere. And then I quickly want to tell everyone, if you do have an exemption, if you are on a cruise and departing from the United States and you're not going to any ports in Canada, then they do say that, if you've got an exemption, you have to show proof of your PCR test done within 3 days. You have to have an embarkation day test, which will be $150 added to your shipboard account. You may not be permitted to go ashore in all ports if allowed. You may only go ashore through shore excursions sold by or through Princess, using tour operators that Princess is contracted with. It says self-exploration or participation in shore excursions not sold by or operated through Princess will not be permitted. And so be aware of that. Just a heads up, that's one of the requirements if you're not vaccinated. And then the last thing says that you might have to be tested prior to disembarkation. And so it doesn't say what would determine if you have to be tested at disembarkation. And then finally, the reminder that when you go ashore, you easily could have to wear a mask wherever you go. They say that you're going to have to wear it on transportation, including water shuttles. But be aware that you have to follow the rules of whatever port you're in. So you might have to wear a mask. So that is all of the updates to do with sailings from the United States and Canada. The sailings that they have, these updated protocols for Europe, cover the cruises departing from Athens, Barcelona, or Rome on the Regal Princess from March 26th on, and also from Copenhagen or Rome on the Enchanted Princess and the Island Princess. So those are the main ships that these protocols are applying to. There are separate protocols if you're sailing from the UK, and those have not been changed. They've not been updated. So just a reminder that the vaccinations and the testing requirements are still the same. If you are departing from one of these ports, you have to have a negative COVID test within 1 day of embarkation. And so remember that. They do offer testing at the port though, which I think is amazing. So if you're traveling beforehand, or if you're more than 1 day out by the time you travel to any of these ports, then you can easily get a test at the port. You don't have the worry of trying to track one down. It says that on these, right now, they do not, just like on the others, they do not allow any exemptions. For having recently had COVID, you have to be fully vaccinated. And so documentation of recovery from COVID-19 or blood antibody tests are not accepted in place of vaccination. They are offering a small number of exemptions, they have said, and so you have to apply for those. The other day I gave that email. It's 1-800-PRINCESS in the United States. In the United Kingdom, it's 0344-338-8663 if you need those numbers. Finally, it says the other thing that they have updated with these updated European protocols is a little bit more information on the testing that you can order so that you can have it with you just to do if you want to do the testing on your own before you board the ship. They point out that you can order the test kits from Optum for $69.99 for 2. And they suggest that you order those within 2 weeks of embarkation, or at least 2 weeks out. They're supposed to arrive within 3 days. And like we've said before, Gordon and I have videos up of him doing the testing with that. And so I'll have him link those. But it's really not very hard to do those at all. So that is a really good option if you want to do that. They also remind everyone that if you are going to order from Radius, that those tests take a little bit longer. They take 5 to 7 days to arrive at your home. And then they finally also do remind everybody that for guests who live in the UK, they've got Prenetics is the company that they have partnered with there to be able to do the COVID tests that are just like the Abbott Laboratory ones here that you get from Optum. So they defined that a little bit. They also are reminding everybody that you have got to do the health questionnaire in your Medallion Class app within 24 hours. They also remind everybody that masks are recommended. They are not required anywhere. I would say that I think from anybody that I have heard lately who is in Europe right now on a cruise, the cruise ports there are requiring people to wear masks. And so if any of you are there and have anything else to share about that, I would love to hear from you. But in the early days, once the transatlantics were done and some people were starting to tour over there on the cruises, they've said that they have to wear the masks in the ports. And so just a heads up about that. And then the last thing I wanted to make sure that everybody knows is for anyone who has been given an exemption, that is the requirements are just the same as they are for sailings from the US and Canada. So you'll be able to have to hit all of those requirements as well, and including the thing if you might not be able to get off in all of the ports, and if you do, it needs to be with a Princess excursion on these. So I hope that this is really helpful. If you've got any questions, just let me know. And I do want to reiterate from what these protocols say, you are not going to have to be tested again to make a call in Canada. It sounds like you've got to have that 1 day testing window to be able to visit there with that antigen test. You've got that 1 day window, and then after that, it doesn't sound like you have got any other testing to be able to call in Canada. Now, we've got just a few updates here, and I think they're really important updates, so I hope you'll stick with me. First of all, David was just off the Majestic Princess, and I really appreciate you, David. He's in our Let's Go family. He said that while he was on the sailing out to the Mexican Riviera, that the Hollywood Conservatory was free, but only platinum and elite members could use it. And he said the Hollywood pool deck was also free. He said they didn't have to sign up for it or anything. So my guess is when you go in, they scan your medallion to see what you are. and this is me, I hope that they do like scan your medallion, because like on our last cruise, we got the blue medallions, which is what first-time cruisers get, and there's nothing wrong with that unless someone is deciding if you can enter the Hollywood Conservatory based on what color of medallion you have, because Gordon and I are platinum, but our medallion looked like we were first-time cruisers. So I'm really hopeful that they scan your medallion when you're going in there and don't turn you away. The other thing that I wanted to make sure that everybody knows is Hal. He is our Let's Go family member. He is heading back to San Francisco from Hawaii, and he just said, I think he's on the Grand Princess. Sorry, I forgot to write that down. Or maybe the Ruby. I apologize. Anyway, he is heading back. And here's the important things that he said. He said every time that you're getting off the ship, they tell you to make sure you take your ID with you, of course, and your COVID vaccine card, your proof of vaccination. He said nobody ever asked for that. When they were coming back to the ship, of course, they wanted to scan your medallion and see that that's you. But other than that, he said nobody asked to see it. But of course, he does recommend keeping it with you because you never know what's going to happen. He also said that the first thing every excursion bus driver told them when they were when they were going on an excursion is that masks were optional and that a lot of people didn't wear them. And to go along with that, our Let's Go family member Drew, he said that they were also just in Hawaii, and maybe they're on the same ship with Hal, but he said that they were not enforcing masking at all. And unfortunately, his wife tested positive, and he said that she had worn her mask faithfully and ended up testing positive a couple of days after they were home. The only time she would take it off on the excursion is if they were eating lunch. And so I just wanted to let everybody know about that and kind of how that's being handled right now. And then back to Hal, he said that the internet on that ship was pretty poor. And also he said that the crew and the food were great. And so there's always something good, I think. And so I just wanted to let you know that that's what Hal had to say, and Drew. I appreciate your updates. And then I've got a couple of other quick updates, and then we'll talk more updates tomorrow again. I don't want to wear anyone out. So first of all, Kathy says that they are on the Grand Princess heading to Hawaii. So you know what? I bet you Hal and Drew were on the Ruby on the way back. That's my guess. Anyway, they're very happy with the entertainment and food. They've eaten in the main dining room every night and have had the same servers, just like we set up for in the app. So they selected the set time of dining, and that's what you get. She says we didn't even have to ask. It's different than before when we walk right into our table, but we were seated right away without delay. Really great service, and have been happy to enjoy a Hawaiian-inspired dish each night. Very good. We have heard people complain about the most minor things and wonder what their expectations are. I thought that was sweet. She says, I can't imagine anyone not enjoying this cruise except for the very rough seas. And then Rhonda was really kind. She's on that same ship on the Grand Princess headed to Hawaii. And she said they are having a great time. She did say they had really rough seas, like the roughest seas that she has encountered. And so I'm sorry to hear you all had rough seas. That makes it just a little bit harder on the ship. She said most people are still wearing masks, but she said, and I find it really interesting. So Rhonda thought that the dining room's been awesome, great every night. And Rhonda thought it was great except for the evening that she wrote this, which was I guess it would be last night, Tuesday night, because she sent this to me today, Wednesday. And but she said that last night there was nothing really great. And I was thinking, you know what, that is just like a thing of taste, I think. Like sometimes when we go to the main dining room, there are several things that I have the hardest time choosing which one I want. And then other nights I'm like, well, what am I going to pick? Because nothing's really tickling my fancy. And so I can see that happening, and it just depends. Whereas my sweet husband, he is happy with, he just is happy with anything, and I'm happy with it. I just sometimes see things that I think, oh, that looks so good, and other nights I'm like, oh, I don't know what to get. So just told you all that. The other thing I wanted to make sure everybody knows, we just had an update also on from Kenneth. They are on the Emerald Princess right now. He said that masks are only used by a very small minority. Karen is on the Ruby Princess and just left Hawaii. She says you must wear a mask until you leave the port after disembarking, and about a third of the people are wearing the masks. And she said that they know that the crew is getting some COVID and that they had rough seas, so she mentioned the rough seas as well. And this was one little spot that I just wanted to ask you guys what you're kind of thinking. I know I have asked you before if COVID's going to stop you from cruising, and so many of you, of course there's some people that aren't comfortable with that right now, and that is okay. Like, everybody should do what they feel the most comfortable with. And then there's lots of people who say, heavens, I'm going to go, I'm going to go now. It's time to get out there. And so I was wondering, when you hear that, like, you know, a few crew members, a few people on the ship are getting COVID, does that make you worry a lot? I am one of the people that it doesn't worry me, because I am one of the people, I think that COVID's going to be with us from here on out, and we just have to learn how to manage it. And so that's just me, though. And so I just wanted to see what you guys are thinking. Does it make you nervous? I think of our cruise at the end of May, and for some reason I don't feel really nervous. We're going to get the other booster, and a little bit of me worries, but not enough to stay home. And so I'd love to hear what you all are thinking about that. And then finally, Jim was just on the Majestic from the 19th through the 26th of May, and said maybe 10% of the people are wearing their masks. It's not enforced anywhere on the ship, so I guess even when they ask you to wear a mask, they aren't making people if they don't. It says only enforced at the Port of Los Angeles, but many still weren't wearing them there. That they had a wonderful cruise. And so this is just kind of a bird's eye view of where we are today with cruising, and I do have some more updates, but I am very aware that this is getting to be a long video. So if you've got questions about any of this, I would love it. Just stick them in the comments and I'll do my best to get back to you. If you ask a question, keep an eye on my video the next day or two, because we have so many questions, and the ones that I see a lot and get in emails too, it's just easier for me to tell you all the answer in an email. So I really appreciate you all sticking with me. I think you all are wonderful, and I really appreciate you. So if you appreciate these updates, would you please give this video a thumbs up? Oh, and you know what? I have one more question. Let me know how the sound is doing. We've made some tweaks, and if the sound is still not that great, I'm going to get a better microphone. We're going to try that next. But if you wouldn't just mind letting me know how the sound is, I'd really appreciate it. We'll be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.